Hey folks, sorry I'm a couple of days late. A couple of things have brewed up, happened, a few minds have been changed about what direction I'm going in, etc, etc. So I'll try and keep them short and sweet unless there's any sort of things I'll be explaining with a bit more meat in the bones in future. I'm pretty sure the main headlines on social media this week was the unfortunate loss of Rab's dog at Colwick Park during the British Bred Race. Now, nobody likes to lose a dog, and in them circumstances it makes it even worse. And I'm pretty sure Rob has brought a few valiant points up in regard to the track, its management and its maintenance, and I'm probably sure some of them points are right. And then I see he had a go at the Racing Post and a few other things. I do deeply sympathise with the loss of the dog. Breeding a dog, rearing a dog, and then watch it go in such horrific circumstances, especially whenever I know the love and compassion that that dog would have got at its kennels, knowing Rob and Liz. It would be quite hard. But, and I don't want to take away from the situation, if we go to a particular point in time in the past, then I'm pretty sure Rab could have had more of an influence with his position in British breeding in how the GBGB and the sport were moving forward, especially in regard to circumstances when the GTA tried to make some sort of stand outside the GBGB offices a few years ago, and subsequent talks to try and calm that situation down. But what we've got to look at now is the agreement that has been signed in the past few weeks between Entain, and pay particular attention on the screenshot that's coming up now of what it says at the top of their page, and you will see that it's a share price, and that is all that matters to these people. And the other party involved in this agreement is ARC. Now, I'm pretty sure a lot of people out there will know what this means for the industry. And I can tell you now, it's a fucking madness. It's a madness in the fact that we have let it get to this stage where there is no power for the people who get up in the morning, clean the shits out of the paddock, clean dogs' arses whenever they've been eating too much grass in the paddock, feed the dogs, get in there and cuddle the dogs, give them a good massage and watch them wriggle around and run around like idiots. These fuckers aren't doing that. And now they've slipped in another GBGB director, which is another bookie, Ian Smythe, who is a Entain representative. And then you've got Rachel Corden, who's on for representing ARC, basically. And then you've got Rachel Corden married to Mark Bird. And I hear people saying Mark Bird's the best director or CEO that we've had of the GBGB, and I don't know the man personally, but I know one thing, right? He's an ex-copper, and for me, ex-coppers are just not to be trusted. Now, I'm sure most of you have read the GBGB website. It says our role is to safeguard the integrity and future prosperity of British greyhound racing so that it remains a successful and sustainable sport with welfare at its heart. Well, let's start with the welfare side of it. The welfare stops at the fucking track gates whenever you take your dog in. Let's be honest about that before we go on. We oversee 21 stadia across the country, and we ensure that each race is run fairly and cleanly. We also are responsible for regulating the welfare and care of all racing greyhounds, from registration to retirement. I would argue with that quite substantially with what I've got as evidence for my documentary, what I'll talk about later. We are staffed by world-leading experts, including vets, academics, and animal welfare specialists, all of whom love and care for our greyhounds, putting them centre stage in all we do. And they should put down there, hopefully in the next couple of weeks, they'll put, except Mick McCool's greyhounds, who we don't give a fuck about, and they can stay there, get old, and not run on the track, and we don't give a fuck how they're getting on. Yeah? Right, let's get off that, because that angers me slightly. So, I talked to a number of people in the past couple of weeks about the great GBGB, and I got the idea a week ago to do a documentary. And my God, the stuff I've got already is quite, what would we say, quite extensive in terms of quite detrimental to the Greyhound Board of Great Britain. Quite detrimental to greyhound racing, in fact. And obviously we're going to work with facts, because making little allegations doesn't work. But talking about the documentary, I've started that already. We've started the planning procedure for it. I've got a load of stuff on the board here behind, you can't see it, but it's certain people that we're going to interview. We've already got a few statements. We have hired an extremely good investigative journalist who has won awards in mostly every year since in the last 6 years, and we're going to basically expose the Greyhound Board of Great Britain and greyhound racing for what it is. And why am I doing that? Well, I looked at that GTA video and I listened to various statements from people that were quite key in bringing that to the officers of the Greyhound Board of Great Britain and the Metropolitan Police. How it ever disappeared, I do not know, but I'd probably guess that a certain person at the GBGB was responsible for that. But we never know, we can't make these accusations unless we get some evidence. And maybe that evidence might come to light, you never know. So I've heard a couple of lads that whenever I worked for the government as an investigator into various crimes of a financial nature, where people were claiming off the government and other things that we done. We've got a couple of them working on a few things for us, and we're going to do this documentary properly. We're going to have a proper narrator, and it will centre around my case against the GBGB. That will be the main spine of it, and then we'll go out and get interviews from different people. Now, something that I'll make a statement on now, and I'll show a little video which you'll see on this. Something that I've been doing is I've been taking videos from greyhound tracks for the past 4 weeks, and I'm going to try and I'm going to try and marry these up to injury statistics for certain tracks, and I'm also going to use this for my documentary. Now, I'm sorry to say, but I can't let this deal go with ease, because it will mean that either ARC or Entain will be running our sport and they don't give a fuck about the dogs. They just don't give a shit about the dogs. They're not interested that we won't have enough dogs to run the track in 2 years' time. And the fact of their share prices and the fact that they're worth billions of quid, do you think they're really interested that somebody's driving around a 10-year-old van taking his dogs to the track, that somebody's barely making a living, that somebody's children can't come into the sport because there's no prospects for them? That, and another issue, I was talking to some black kids, I'll put it, that work for me. I'll put it on this during this video, and we talk to them lads, and we get an idea of what it means to be introduced to greyhounds. These lads have never even seen green fields, and haven't had the opportunity to be outside of, inner London. And it was a programme that we were going to start before lockdown, where we were going to get some relatively close to the gang experience kids out of London, black and white, to come out, and we were going to take them, put them in little mobile homes for 2 weeks, introduce them to flying drones, introduce them to having a hack on a horse, and do certain countryside experiences with them, a little bit of map reading, orienteering, and working with greyhounds, working with puppies, things like that. And hopefully we'd have got to a track and been able to see them enjoy the dog running. And the joy that it brings these kids, as you'll see in the video, they absolutely love it. And I don't think that's going to be possible now. But have a watch of the video anyway. But going back to my point, greyhound racing and greyhounds deserve better. So lads, just tell me then, right, what do you like about greyhounds?
They're really friendly. They're really fast. You get me, like, you can train with them in it because they're athletic and that. I like the athleticism.
Yeah, good man. What you call it? Ree, what do you think of them?
Well, like all dogs, they're very loyal. But of course, they're a different breed than most regular dogs. They're literally built like horses to run. You know what I mean? They're built to sprint.
And would you have one in the house, Rio?
Yeah, I wouldn't have a problem having one in the house.
Yeah.
If I had a big enough property.
And both Ians then, what do you think the situation that there's maybe, I don't know, I don't think there's any black people in greyhound racing in the United Kingdom. Do you think that's fair?
I mean, it's not, for me specifically, it's not really as of not fair, but it's more a thing of maybe at a time we may have, and in the past may have been involved, but I think it's more a thing of choice as well for the most part.
Right, but do you think that choice would be more accessible if you were introduced to greyhounds?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and had, like, obviously you hadn't really had any interaction with greyhounds up here.
No, not at all.
So, if you had interaction with them, obviously this has changed your, like, sort of thought process now.
Yeah.
And, like, Amy here's had a bit of a run-off, would that be the sort of dog you would have in the house, Israel?
If I had the land for it.
Yeah,
so
good man.
If I was just staying in the council flat in London, then no, because it's not fair for them.
Good man, well done, that's fantastic, Israel. So, generally, if you'd have been given or introduced to them, you would have thought about having,
Definitely.
Yeah, and as we mentioned there before, if you've seen one racing, like say you took Amy to a race and she won, do you think you'd be excited by that? Real?
Yeah, I'd be proud. Definitely.
Yeah,
I'd be very proud.
And would you get it would make you happy, wouldn't it?
Yeah, definitely.
Because you've got to know them.
Right, exactly. We know the dogs, and you see the day-to-day lives, and you're involved in them lives, and then you're excited for the dog. You know what I mean?
Fantastic.
Yeah.
That's fucking brilliant, guys. Thank you very much. All I want to do is run against, I don't know, Dave Firmager's down the road. He's like 2 or 3 miles from me. I'd like to run my dogs against Dave Firmager's dogs. I'd like to run my dogs just as on a Saturday afternoon or a Sunday afternoon in a local track, even if it's a flapping track. And if that's the best that we can hope for, then I'd rather get the enjoyment out of that. I know there's people out there that rely on it for their income. But the thing is, do you not realise that that is gone? It just won't last. There's no structure to it. There's no open dogs. How many open dogs in this country, British bred open dogs, how many open race dogs are there in this country even that have been bought out of Ireland that could run in a derby? 20, 25, if that. How many could win a derby? I ain't seen one. Do you know what I mean? The best performance I've seen the last 3 or 4 weeks is probably Botco's John Joe beating, coming from behind Carl Perry's good bitch at Rumford. That was a bit of a special run. But he ain't really got the early pace for the derby. Hopefully he will grow into that, and he will be able to represent Britain in a derby. But it's doubtful at this stage whether he's going to get that early pace. But that's I'm not talking about that. I just want to run the dogs for a bit of fun against somebody else and have a bit of enjoyment and have a giggle and see the dogs whenever they get off and they're enjoying themselves. All this shit here and all these politics, fuck that shit. I don't give a shit about that. I do not give a shit. It's just fucking ridiculous that we're in this situation now. And if you can't see that the end is near, then you need to fucking go and throw yourself in front of a lorry or something. Because the end is near. And there's just no prospects for anybody in this sport. And I'll put a couple of pictures up of what this sport was. And just look at it. And it's heartbreaking to see. Please, for the love of Jesus, do something. Stand up. All come together. Let's fucking stand up and put an end to this. And I'm sorry I've cursed in this vlog, but this really winds the shit out of me. Because how have these people got the power? How has it all been transformed to them and we can't do anything, yet we're the people looking after the dogs? It's just gone too far now. And we need to do something about it. Everybody get together. Bring them to the table. Stop the product. Then they haven't got a product. And yes, it'll be a struggle. And we'll try and help out. I'm sure there's people out there who'll help out. And let's start something that we can sell to the bookies. There's a lot better people out there than me that are smart and know the game. But there's also a lot of rats out there, right, that are bad for the game. Please, let's stand together and do something before it's too late. Thank you.